We feel honored and privileged that you have chosen this school as your school of choice. We're happy that you've made this school your home. This evening, we are in our pre-attendance conference meeting. This is the opportunity to get all of the information that you need to set your scholar and your family up for success next school year. Tonight in my session, I'm going to be sharing with you the academic program for the school next year. So what the middle school will be focusing on academically in each of your scholars' classes. Whenever we get together, we like to start with our vision for the school. So here it is. Uplift Middle School works in partnership with families to support the development of responsible scholars who are proud to be on the path to college graduation. We emphasize this word partnership. It takes the families and the school working together in order to make your scholar truly college ready. Our goal is not just that your scholar gets a high school diploma, not just that your scholar gets into college, but that 4 years later they are walking across a stage receiving a college diploma, graduating from a four-year university. And so it takes a partnership between the school and the family in order to accomplish that. We'll go into this a bit more later, but we'll talk about our priority of helping your scholar become responsible. You'll see this bridge in the background. This is our graphic representing middle school. Middle school really is like a bridge. It's a transition time between elementary school, where they're very dependent on their family and parents and teachers, to a time in high school where they really learn to become more self-sufficient. And so this middle school time is a transition, sometimes a bumpy road, as we help our preteens develop the skills that they need for independence and for success later on. At Uplift Luna Secondary, we care not only about the academic side of your scholar, not just about their academic preparation, but also about the type of person that they're becoming. Uplift Luna Secondary is in the process of becoming an authorized international baccalaureate school. This means that your curriculum received at this school will be on par with some of the best schools, not just in the country, but in the world. We follow the International Baccalaureate curriculum. The IB program, for short, International Baccalaureate is the IB program, defines 10 learner traits, or 10 characteristics that make a great person and a great learner. And 5 of them define what our core values are here in the middle school. So we're helping your scholar become a caring person, somebody who's looking out for others, somebody who is open-minded, and accepting of others, somebody who is principled. That means that they do the right thing even when no one else is looking. Is that something that we want for our children? Somebody who's resilient. That means that in the face of challenge, they're energized by that challenge and can persevere and push through. And then also somebody who's reflective. That means that they have the ability to look back on their own choices, reflect on how that choice went, the pros and cons of it, and make more positive choices moving forward. In the middle school next year, we have 3 strategic priorities, 3 areas of focus that we'll have in all of your scholars' academic areas. So we'll move into that next. Our first priority says, develop critical thought through reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And this will take place in all of your scholars' content areas. So here's what we mean by that. Have you ever had the experience with your middle school scholar? When they come home at the end of the day and you ask them how was their day, and they say, good. And you say, what'd you learn about? And they say, nothing. And maybe you may be able to pull out of them just one story from their day, but it is told so out of order, and they have trouble putting back in order exactly what happened, and you just find yourself asking so many questions to fully understand that story. This is very common in middle school because scholars are learning to develop a skill called metacognition. This means the ability to think about your own thinking. That's what we mean by critical thought. Middle school is a time of learning to listen to the thoughts in your head and put them into words. Whether it's somebody speaking, like a teacher, or watching a video, you're hearing something, you need to hear not just what's being said, but also the thoughts in your head as you respond to what you're hearing. Same thing with reading. When you're reading a text, there's really a voice in your head going on, and you need to be able to learn to read along while simultaneously listening to the thoughts in your head. That's metacognition. What we want to teach your scholar to do next, then, is put their thoughts into words, to be able to articulate their thinking in a way that others can understand. The way that we do that, the building blocks for that, your scholar will talk about something called CER. That stands for claim, evidence, and reasoning. And this is really the building block of any college-level argument, writing, or speaking. So, be encouraging your scholar to answer your questions in the same format. They should give you a claim. That means what I think or what I believe. Followed by their evidence. What's the evidence from my personal experiences or the evidence from the text that I'm reading that supports my claim, why my claim is true. And then finally, they explain their reasoning. That's the link between their evidence and their claim. Why is that evidence proof of their claim? So this is something that's going to be happening in all of your scholars' classrooms, not just in their English classroom, even in their math classroom, they're going to be learning to justify their answers and the reasonableness of their answers in this format. Even in PE, as that's their physical education class, even as they learn about health and fitness, they're going to be asked high-level questions and expected to learn to respond in this way. Because like I said, it's the building block of collegiate-level dialogue and discussion. Here are the classes that your scholar will be taking next year in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. If you see a star next to the class, it means that your scholar is going to be taking a star test for the state. If you see a C next to it, it means that your scholar is going to be getting high school credit for that course. So in math, scholars take a 6th grade math class, a 7th grade math class. The sample curriculum for that is right over here. Nope, that's Spanish, right over here. This is the math curriculum if you'd like to come up and take a look at it afterwards. They do take a STAR test for the state in these two classes. In 8th grade, there are two different tracks for mathematics. You can either take 8th grade math, and again, there's a STAR test for it, or you can take Algebra 1, which there's an end of course exam. That's the high school version of a state STAR test. And by passing that exam, your scholar would get high school credit for it. We determine who goes into which track based on their 7th grade end of year STAR data and also their MAP data, the two tests that they take at the end of the year to show us their level of math readiness. In science, they'll take 6th grade science class defined by the state or 7th grade science class defined by the state. In 8th grade, just like when your scholar was back in 5th grade, there is a STAR test. And the curriculum that we'll be following is here in this box if you'd like to take a look after the session. Social studies, in 6th grade your scholar takes world geography, Texas history in 7th grade, and American history with a STAR test in 8th grade. In our social studies classes, your scholar continues to read and write. That's the priority, speaking, reading, listening, and writing in all of your content areas. And so next year you can expect that your scholar will be reading both historical fiction novels and then also primary source documents in their history class. A primary source document is text that was written back in the time that they were actually studying. Now one day when your scholar's in high school and they're taking AP or advanced placement classes in history, that gets them college credit. On that AP social studies exam, they'll be asked to write what's called a DBQ essay, or document-based question essay. And so we practice that here in the middle school with a curriculum called DBQ Project. So your scholar will have access to primary source documents, those texts that were written back in the day that they were studying, and then they'll be asked questions in response to that text that they're reading. And we'll be, even in the middle school, preparing them for that college level exam in the high school. In the middle school in English class, ELA, English Language Arts, there's a STAR test every year. In 7th grade, the scholars also take a 7th grade writing test in addition to their 7th grade reading STAR test. In Spanish class, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders have the opportunity to get high school credit next year. The curriculum for that is over there if you'd like to see a sample of their books for next year. Our 6th and 7th graders next year are going to be getting half of their first year of high school credit. Of the Spanish 1 course, they'll be taking the first semester of that across the year in 6th and 7th grade. Our 8th graders are going to take all of Spanish 1 that first year of high school credit. So 6th and 7th graders will get a half year of credit. They'll finish the other half next year. And if you have any scholars in 8th grade next year, they'll be getting one whole Spanish high school credit for next year. They'll start high school in Spanish 2. In technology, your scholars take a 6th or 7th grade technology class, followed by a business information technology class. These all focus on getting your keyboarding skills fast, your words per minute up, also learning all of the Microsoft Office skills like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, also about how to write professional emails and to communicate electronically, also how to use social media in a safe, responsible way. All of that is included in these classes. Your physical education class happens every year. It'll be for a semester next year. And then Scholars Art class next year at the middle school level will be a Drama 1 class. If you have more questions about the classes that they'll be taking, feel free to see these curriculum samples up here at the end of this session, or come ask me any questions that you have. Our second priority in the middle school is solidify the foundation with checkpoints. And here's what we mean by this. Many of our scholars come in slightly behind academically. Even those who are on grade level, we want to advance beyond grade level so that by the time they graduate with us from high school, they're on par to apply for some of the best colleges in the country. That really is our goal. So one of our goals in the middle school is to make sure that we're sending your scholar to high school fully prepared for a college prep level high school curriculum. And we use an internal assessment called checkpoints to do that. These are tests that your teachers write based on rubrics that we provide for them from the school. And on these tests, they happen every other week, and there's really two goals of them. They'll always take place on a Wednesday during all of your scholars' classes every other week. And the two goals are these. One, these checkpoints reassess the recurring content all throughout the year. So if your scholar learned it back in August, we want to make sure that they're remembering it all throughout the year. So the checkpoints are an opportunity to reassess content all throughout to make sure that they're remembering content over time. The second reason why we do checkpoints is to assess the modes of thinking. Those are the higher order thinking skills that your scholars are responsible for learning. So for example, scholars who are here in the room, how many of you remember learning about main idea, even all the way back in elementary school? Learned about main idea? Yes. Well, main idea is a mode of thinking, but your teacher or a test doesn't necessarily ask you, what's the main idea? Sometimes a teacher or a test might ask something like, what would be a good title for this passage? And your scholar needs to recognize that when they're asking me about what would be a good title, that's really asking me to access my mode of thinking around main idea. And so we want to help your scholar recognize examples of the modes of thinking and all the different question types, and then also the thought process to follow in order to successfully think in that way. So your scholar will take these checkpoints every other week on a Wednesday, and then on the Wednesday when they're not taking the checkpoint, they're going to engage in what's called our track attack cycle. This is an example of a scholar tracker. Underneath is a spot to record your growth and progress on the different modes of thinking in this content area. So every week your scholar is going to plot a point on the line graph to show their progress in this particular mode of thinking for this content area. So next year you can ask your scholar to see this, and they should be able to show you how they're doing and how they're progressing over time. Now your teacher is going to be tracking this data for the whole class, and they'll spot, what's the mode of thinking that my class is currently the lowest in, and then your teacher is going to plan an attack lesson. That means that they're going to teach your scholar to recognize that mode of thinking in those question types, and then also a strategy to attack that way of thinking. So this is our track attack cycle. Scholars track their data, and then they attack these different modes of thinking. And this will happen every Wednesday in the middle school in order to solidify the foundation to make sure that your scholar is going off to high school on grade level or above. Our third priority here in the middle school is to maintain systems that teach responsibility. Like I said, middle school is like that bridge in the background. This is a time of transition, moving from complete dependence to total independence, and it can be a bumpy road. So it's good that we anticipate that and plan for it as in this partnership together of schools and families. So have you noticed about your middle schooler that sometimes they totally surprise you by their behavior? And the scholar that they once were in elementary school, out of nowhere, is no longer who they tend to be as they make this transition from their parent being the one who has the most influence in their life to their friends now being the one who has the most influence in their life. And so our goal during sometimes this turbulent and emotional transition of middle school is to help your scholar be responsible for their work, for their belongings, and also for their own actions. And so next year, we're putting several systems in place that are going to help the communication and the level of responsibility between the school, the scholar, and their family. So for example, our school supplies are very important. This year, when you're over in the session in the gym, you're going to see a table set up for EPI. That's where you'll order your school supplies from. Now in the past, you may have gotten a list from the school and told you this is what you need to go purchase from Walmart. It will not be the case this year. What happens on the first day of school when scholars are sent to school with their school supplies is that they travel around from one room to the next all day long with this big bundle of supplies. It does not help us set them up for responsible success from the first day forward. So instead, you'll order your school supplies through EPI, and what that means is that on the very first day of school, everything your scholar needs for their math class will be waiting for them in their math classroom. Everything that they need for their ELA class is going to be waiting for them in their ELA classroom on the very first day of school. So from day one, we'll be making sure that they have everything they need set up so that they're following through on these systems of responsibility. For example, our binder system. Next year, all of your scholars are going to have a color-coded binder for every one of their subjects. We'll make sure that they have the same tabs that they need inside of each one of those binders to keep their graded work organized, their homework organized, all of it. We'll make sure that this binder comes home to you at the end of every unit of study. That way you can sign off on the fact that you've seen all the graded work that you need to see and that you understand what they're learning. So we'll use this as a communication tool. You know, a big difference between when they were in elementary school to now this time of middle school is that they have many more teachers than they used to have. In elementary school, they had 1 to 2 teachers. Here in the middle school, they have upwards of 11 teachers that they see. And so instead of one teacher being responsible for communicating with a class of 25 families, now your teachers are responsible for communicating to 100 to 300 different families. And so we put a lot of responsibility on your scholar for doing some of that communication for us, like with their Thursday folders. Your folders will continue to come home every Thursday, so be anticipating that. We'll continue to post it on the website by every Friday morning so that you're getting all of that communication. But that folder is going to be one of these school supplies that your scholar gets on the first day. And we'll have them label in that folder, this side are things that I need to take home and bring back to school, like my homework. And this side are things that I need to take home and leave at home and show my parents right away because it's communication from the school. So we're standardizing these systems of responsibility across the middle school. That way we can streamline communication and help your scholars learn these important skills. Your scholar will again receive a planner at the start of the school year. This is their one free one. They are for sale in the office if your scholar misplaces this one. But this is something that they need to keep up with. Your scholar has the opportunity to write down their homework during a designated period of time in every class period. And so this is a way for you to see when they come home what their homework is. Your job, please, is to make sure that you check that planner every single night to see what their homework is. Now your scholar may tell you, oh, Mama, I finished that homework today when I was in lunch. And your job is to say, no, show me. Have your scholar put that homework in your hand and prove to you that everything listed in their planner is indeed complete. Now at school, we'll make sure that it's completed and accurate. That's our job. We'll make sure that it's correct. But if you would make sure that it's completed with quality, that would be a big help. So what I mean by that is we said that one of our goals is that your scholar is learning that important skill of metacognition, that ability to think about their thinking. This means that all of their thinking needs to be shown on their homework. So if it's a math assignment, they can't simply just circle their answer. Would you please make sure that their work is all recorded, that their thinking and reasoning is put on paper? Same thing for English. We're trying to develop their writing, their ability to express their thinking in words on paper. So if you see just a word or a sentence written, know that an English assignment at the middle school level usually requires a paragraph. So if you would check to make sure that it's completed with quality, that would be a tremendous help for your scholar and for us here at school. We'll continue to have a system for you to check your scholars' grades. We have a system called Power School where you get live access to see your scholars' grades. Your teachers are responsible for putting 2 new grades in every single week. So if you ever see a blank spot or a missing spot, it means that your scholar is missing an assignment, did not complete it on time. So that puts the power back in your hands to follow up with your scholar and the teacher to make sure that that assignment gets completed. Next year, we're also working to build into the school day a time during their technology class when your scholar can actually check their own grades as well and take on this level of responsibility for themselves too. The last thing to discuss here tonight is your summer work. Scholars, that means your homework for the summer. So today, when you walked in, you should have gotten 3 pieces of paper. This one is a copy of this PowerPoint presentation for you to have. The next 2 pertain to your scholar's homework for the summer. So take a look at this one. There's one that's the information, and there's one that's the registration form. Your scholar's homework this summer is 2 different assignments. Your scholar here at the middle school uses a program called Achieve 3000 to build their reading skills. They also use a program called Think Through Math to build up their math skills. Your scholar needs to continue to work on this program over the summer. Before the first day of school, they need to return with 20 activities completed on Achieve 3000 and 20 activities completed on Think Through Math. Now, if you are brand new to Uplift Luna this year, then when you come, when you are preparing to do your summer work, you must sign up. Here's the registration form. You must sign up for 1 week of our Summer Jumpstart Camp. There's a week 1, 2, 3, and 4, the 4 weeks of June. So if you are brand new to Uplift Luna, you must come to complete your assignments here at school. We'll do your diagnostic testing, and you'll get an opportunity to work with a teacher on these programs. Now, if you are returning to Uplift Luna, you have already been to this school before. Your scholar can complete this assignment at home over the summer. They must come back to school with it completed on the first day of school, though.
Thank you.
But if you want your scholar to have the help of a teacher, or if you want your scholar to have our internet access and our computers, then you have the option of signing them up for any of our summer work sessions below. So if you need to sign your scholar up for either the summer work sessions or the new scholar summer jumpstart camp, would you please leave this registration form with me up here before you leave? I'll be at the door to sign off on your punch card. Everybody received, may I hold up yours as an example? Everybody received a punch card when they came in this morning with their schedule on the back. I'll be at the door to sign off this to say that yes, you came to this session, and then you will all be following this hallway down here. You'll go straight back to your next session. I'll be at the door to answer any questions that you have. I'm so glad that you were here this evening. So glad to see you all again, and glad that you're coming back to Uplift Luna next year. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You don't need a copy of the assignment? Okay, okay. We have never put attendance on the report card. I think that's a great idea, but if you have a discrepancy between what your absences are and what you're seeing, if you would call the front office, and they'll be sure to get that taken care of for you.